So our producer was luckily able to schedule an interview with Cal Malhi. He is the CEO and founder of Hertz Energy. Now, I know this is a busy time of year for you, Cal. The weather has just started to get warm up there in Canada. So thanks for making the time to be with us today.
No, thanks for taking the time to have me, Zach and Jesse.
So we've talked to graphite companies, nickel mining companies up there in Canada, but you're the first lithium mining company that we've talked to. What can you tell us about Hertz Energy?
We put together Hertz Energy as a deal in early 2023. We became a publicly listed company in April 2023. And since that time, we've been putting together a diversified offering of not only lithium, but an energy metals company. So we've acquired some district-scale lithium projects in the heart of the James Bay discoveries for lithium. We've also added a uranium project, and we also have an extraction technology project in partnership with Penn State University to develop extraction technologies for hard rock lithium.
All right, so I heard you say James Bay. Can you tell us about that region? Why is it so important to lithium? That's up there in Canada, right?
Yes, James Bay is in Canada. It's one of the top-tier mining districts across the world. It's politically stable. There's infrastructure. There's hydroelectric power, which is important for lithium. And what's happened in lithium in the last 2 years is hard rock lithium was mostly an Australian the project where hard rock lithium came from Australia, but with the demand for lithium with EV vehicles, there's been an exploration rush to find lithium outside of Australia, and James Bay has become a lithium district. Some people actually say James Bay is the Saudi Arabia of lithium, and one of the biggest discoveries that's expected to be the biggest discovery in the world is in James Bay by a company called Patriot Battery Metals.
So it sounds like there's other companies that are in this region that are looking to extract lithium?
Yes, Patriot Battery Metals was an early entrant in there, and I was actually involved as an early stage investor on a small scale in Patriot Battery. I know the people at Patriot Battery. So when Patriot Battery started discovering their lithium, we started staking ground in that area early on. So we're early entrants into James Bay. We acquired a lot of ground. Some of it we vended to other companies, but we put 2 district-scale projects into Hertz Energy.
Now, I'm curious how people know that this place has lithium in it. What's kind of how do you start by saying like, oh, well, this area has a lot of lithium in it?
There's 2 words in lithium that have become kind of a mainstream word, spodumene and pegmatite. Pegmatite is a type of rock that has outcrops, and it's been mapped by the government in James Bay in Quebec. And so there was known pegmatite districts. It was never looked at for lithium until very recently. So what we're finding is the outcrops of pegmatites, and then we're going on the ground and confirming those pegmatites have lithium. And there is potential for district-scale lithium projects in James Bay.
Can you walk us through the process of going from, I think there might be lithium here, to all the steps of like actually starting to extract it? Because I think many people watching don't really know what that looks like.
Yeah, I guess I'm not a geologist, so I'll give a rough summary. I guess in terms of looking for lithium, one, you have to identify pegmatite rocks, and those can be done from aerial, or they're already mapped in some parts of districts on some of our projects. They're mapped pegmatites, but not all pegmatites have lithium. So once you identify a pegmatite, you have to get on the ground, sample it, and confirm that pegmatite has a mineral called spodumene. Spodumene is the lithium-bearing mineral. And once you're on the ground, you sample it. Once the sample is returned lithium, then you're ready to drill. Once you drill it and confirm the depth and the intercepts, then you're ready to define a resource. Once you've defined a resource, then the permitting process comes in. And James Bay, the government of Quebec, is now expediting permitting processes to get lithium and electric vehicle battery metals into the market. They've also funded a lot of large electric battery metal plants to be in James Bay, so they will need a supply of lithium, and the government's working to expedite the permitting.
Well, Jesse, I think you and I should just head on up to Canada right now, buy some land there. It sounds like this is the perfect place. So see you later. We're going to go do that right now. Right? Isn't that a good idea?
Yeah, no, you know what? We here in mining a gold rush. Right now, I think we're in the midst of a lithium rush. In the capital markets have been very weak in the last couple of years. But the only sector that's been alive is lithium. And now uranium's coming on, but lithium has had the most amount of capital flow into the mining sector in the last 2 years.
But what would stop Zach and I from heading up there with an excavator and start churning out some lithium?
Yeah, let's buy some land.
Yeah, you have to have the right land and you have to have the right access to it. And one of the benefits that we have with Hertz is when I was an investor in Patriot and they were the first ones to discover lithium in the James Bay area, I was able to identify the prospects that had similar geology to Patriot. So we acquired not only the projects that are Hertz, but I acquired a large portfolio. Some of that I vended off to Australian companies, some to other Canadian companies, but I kept the two Hertz energy projects for ourselves. And we believe we've got the best ground in James Bay that's not currently explored by Patriot Battery, or the other discovery is by Winsome Resources. And we're right in the center of that with district scale on same geology as the discoveries by Patriot and Winsome.
All right, so why don't I just invest in companies that are already doing this? I mean, there must be companies that are taking lithium out of the ground. Why should I bother with you guys are looking for it?
Well, I can actually speak to that very gladly. Hertz Energy, we're currently at a valuation of about $10-11 million, and with our two district scale projects. The other discovery companies is Patriot Battery. They are close to $1 billion market valuation. Winsome Resources also has a discovery. They're about a $400 million market capitalization. So if you're looking to invest, you've got an option to invest at those valuations, or you've got an option to invest at early stage company, but at a 10 million valuation with lots of upside. And we believe we have the right ground to offer a pretty strong chance that we can have a discovery on one of our grounds.
Okay, so why is lithium in North America so important as an investor? Why don't I just go looking to, other countries that are pulling lithium out of the ground?
Well, the lithium market up until now was controlled by China. Most of the electric battery and electric minerals were consumed by China, and everybody was selling lithium into China. But in the last 2 years or 3 years, there's a big movement to build lithium battery plants. There's mega plants all over the world. Canada has actually provided close to $12 billion in government funding to encourage battery plants to be built, and there is about 5 or 6. There's several being built in Quebec that will take lithium from James Bay. So the market is now being developed outside of China. Up until now, it was China, but now we've got the supply chains being built outside of China in various countries, and all the governments are funding that infrastructure that will consume lithium in the coming years outside of China. The other reasons that speak to lithium development for lithium mines or lithium projects in North America is the governments are also encouraging very much through the IRA, the Inflation Reduction Act, and other critical minerals incentive, the development of infrastructure as well as supply chains within North America, and that will develop a lithium economy, electric vehicle battery economy in North America outside of China. In addition, we're seeing a lot of critical minerals government incentives. The DOE, Department of Energy, has almost $1 billion allocated for government grants to fund lithium exploration. Canada also has a critical minerals incentive program. In addition, there's the flow-through capital available, and flow-through capital offers investors almost 100% return through tax credits if they invest in exploration projects for critical minerals. So there's a lot of capital being made available for energy metals, lithium, uranium, and we're able to capitalize on that through government grants.
So like geopolitically, this all makes sense because, if we want to have battery materials, we don't want to be relying on China, right, and we don't want to be relying on, frail supply chains, with... I
don't want Houthis shooting at my ships full of lithium.
Right.
Yeah, no, I think what we're seeing is we're seeing the start of a lithium commodity or lithium industry based on electric vehicles, also batteries for cell phones and others. And every country or every continent is developing their own supply chains. And we're just at the start of that. That's being funded by government grants as well as capital from investment in communities. And I think we're just at the start of that, and we'll be seeing big returns for incentives that have exploration projects that come into production in the coming years.
So I guess this time of year is pretty exciting up in Canada, right? The frost starts to recede and you can start doing sampling. Have you guys started any sampling yet on your properties?
James Bay has an exploration season that opens up in late April, early May. So we're kind of gearing up and very eager to get on the ground. And we raised $2.5 million at the end of 2023. $1.5 million of that is, as I said, flow through, where we raised it through incentive program. and that's dedicated to our James Bay project. So we're kind of itchy to get on the ground. Last year, James Bay had a fire season. Fires were rampant, and exploration was prohibited most of the year. There's only a couple of weeks at the end. So a lot of companies couldn't get onto the ground. This year is the first year for major exploration outside the two major discoveries. And I think we'll see a lot of new discoveries emerge from the first actual exploration season in James Bay. And there has been a lot of government incentive money allocated and raised for James Bay exploration projects.
And so that's kind of exciting for investors because we think that there's lithium there. Once you do some of this exploration, you'll kind of be able to identify maybe some resources of pegmatite under the ground, and then you can start the permitting process. Is that kind of the idea?
Yeah, and I think beyond we think lithium, no, we know there's lithium there. There's demonstrated lithium. Patriot Battery Metals has outlined 100 million tons. I think that's going to have the potential to go up to 300 million tons, which will make that James Bay deposit the largest hard rock lithium deposit in the world. So we it's not a think we have in lithium. We know there's lithium. There's large lithium deposits. And we have district scale projects that have the potential to marry that if we can make discoveries.
When you say district scale, how big are we talking?
Our AC/DC project is combined, it joins Rio Tinto's project. Our project is 300 square kilometers. Rio Tinto's is 400 square kilometers. We also have another project next to Brunswick Exploration. That's also a 260 square kilometer project. So these are district scale. By district scale, I mean a lot of smaller companies have 5 or 6 square kilometer projects. We are working on large district scale. And the reason we can do that is we were able to acquire the ground very early in the lithium field. And we acquired the ground ourselves directly from the government. So we didn't have to go out and buy it. And, I believe we've got the biggest and the best package in James Bay that's ready for exploration for the first time this coming season.
Now, you mentioned some other names there. It sounded like almost like an 80s rock band. You mentioned AC/DC, Snake. I think there's Patriot in Brazil, Lucky Mica. I feel like these are like, I've got a whole band here, Caminco. Can you mention some of these other, so what are these other properties and what are they for?
Well, the AC/DC is our Hertz Energy project. The Snake is our Hertz Energy project. Patriot Battery Metals has a property where they have the biggest discovery. It's called the Corvette Lithium District. Brunswick Exploration is drilling, actually currently drilling on their Arwen discovery, which is adjoining our Snake project. So those are all there. And just to speak to Patriot Battery, it's kind of coincident. I had a deal called Patriot One Technologies in 2016, where we developed a concealed weapons technology. And that was kind of the deal of Vancouver during the 2016 to 2019. We launched, it was a license from the McMaster University. The deal hit an 800 million market cap. And it's a coincidence I got involved in Patriot Battery. So Patriot has been a great name for me. And I've kind of followed that Patriot trend in James Bay, and that's working out well for us.
Isn't everyone getting into the lithium business right now? Won't there be like an oversupply in a few years when everyone starts pulling lithium out of the ground?
Lithium has had a big run in price. As you know, we had a bit of a lithium bubble where the price went through the roof. It was corrected when China went into an economic collapse almost. And we're at the bottom of the lithium trend. So a lot of the small companies that didn't have the right financial backing have been kind of decimated, and they had small projects. So right now, the only companies remaining are ones that were either funded in the lithium bubble or that have a strong backing, financial backing. With Hertz Energy, we're lucky. I have my private company, Bull Run Capital, which we back Hertz with. We also have a listed company called Colored Ties, which is an investment issuer that's also providing us capital as we need for Hertz Energy. We also have strong support from Canaccord Capital, which is one of the biggest brokers in Canada on Hertz Energy. So they like to say, it's the only IPO done in 2023 and they had good returns already. So we have strong backing, unlike a lot of companies where capital isn't readily available for small projects or others. And they're starving for cash, and we're able to come up with the cash as we need.
Now, it seems like one of the most expensive and time-consuming parts of the mining process is like environmental reports and meeting with neighbors and making sure you get local support and government support. What's the situation like up in James Bay? I mean, you mentioned that the government seems very positive on it. Is it going to be hard or easy to get the mine to move forward if you find what you want to find?
In James Bay, there's lands that are that have category ratings, and the lands that we have are dedicated for mineral exploration. There's other lands that are dedicated for hunting rights or other rights, but our lands are dedicated for mineral exploration. Permitting is very simple, very easy. And once we get to the environmental stage, the government, like I said, they have an incentive to get lithium into the supply chains, and they're working with all the mineral exploration companies. And if you Google critical minerals programs all across North America, you'll see the governments are on top of that and getting that funded.
So tell us about your partnership with Upen. What's it all about?
Penn University has a patent on lithium extraction. Like I said, hard rock lithium has just come mainstream in the last 2 or 3 years. So they had a patent that they've been working on, and we're now we've licensed that. We're partnering with them to take that patent to a pilot plant stage and prove the concept that the extraction technology they have is less power intensive and also more environmentally friendly. And we also have been discussing with a major mining company for the last 5 months to come in and fund that technology with us. We don't have an agreement in place just for securities regulators, I need to say that, but we're very close to getting an agreement, hopefully in the next month or so.
And so generally, how does that extraction technology work compared to what's typical?
Again, I'm not a technology expert. Our tech guys are doing it, but it requires a lot less heat and power. Extraction of hard lithium is very power intensive. And one of the benefits of James Bay is James Bay has the lowest cost power in the world. But what our technology does is it reduces the requirement for the heat required, and also the minerals that are required are less environmentally toxic than what's been used in technologies up until now. The technology is working not only to eliminate the power requirements, but also be more environmentally friendly.
So investors watching right now, if they would like to invest in Hertz Energy, how can they do that?
Hertz Energy is listed on the Canadian Securities Exchange in Canada. We're also listed in the US on the OTC, the higher board, not the pink sheets. We're on the QB board. We're also listed in Frankfurt as well. So those are 3 ways that investors can invest, either Canada, US, or the European Frankfurt market.
But I want to stress that a lot of our investors today are kind of Robinhood investors, right? They've got the app. And I went on Robinhood the other day and I was looking for Hertz Lithium and I couldn't find it. And I feel like that's because not all brokers carry all stocks on all markets. So can you speak to investors who might just be on Robinhood? Are they going to be able to invest in your company?
Yes, I think one of the things with Hertz Energy, we're just starting to launch our investor awareness programs. And as we get more active in trading, we will be available on all the platforms. And we'll be working on those platforms in the next coming weeks to make sure that we're available for investors across all the platforms.
As an investor, if I'm thinking about investing in Hertz Energy, I know that mining companies take a while, right? It's not just, you're not going to just pull lithium out of the ground tomorrow. So do I have to invest and hold for 10 years to be a mining investor with you?
Mineral exploration is a high risk venture, but it's also a very, very high reward venture. And the biggest reward come at the initial discovery stage, not at the mining stage, not at the permitting stage, but when the initial discovery is made. And that's where we are. We're at the initial discovery stage. If we get on the ground this April, May, and have discoveries, we can see some exceptional returns for shareholders right off the gate. We don't have to wait for mining. We don't have to wait for a mine to be in place. It's the discovery stage. For a company like ourselves, we're 10, 12 million. If we can make a discovery, the returns are exponential from that point.
I mean, one of the reasons we're talking to you, this is kind of a personal story of mine, is that years and years ago, I got a tip from a friend of mine up in Canada who's like, invest in this mining company, which I won't mention at this moment, but a lot of our investors will know what I'm talking about. They are also an EV battery mining company. And at the time they were just a junior mine. And, when I went to do research, I'm like, well, they don't even have a mine yet. And I didn't really get it, but I listened to my friend. I invested at like 25 cents a share or whatever. And boy, am I glad I did, because it turned out to be really lucrative. I think it is scary for a lot of investors who haven't really done this before, where they're like, well, this isn't even a mine yet. It's just they're trying to find this mineral. But I think the biggest kind of talking point here is whether or not lithium is an important mineral. And I think the people watching the show probably already get it, right? Because that's all we talk about is EVs and sustainable energy and grid scale batteries. Lithium is the common factor in all of those batteries, right?
It is. And I think investors kind of get hung up on, I want to invest in a mine, it's not producing. But again, I have to reiterate that in mineral exploration, the biggest returns come up on an initial discovery. And if we make an initial discovery, we're trading at 15, 16 cents right now, we can see exponential returns. Whereas if you invest in your operating mine, it's already valued, fully valued. You may invest at $30, $40. Your upside is limited because they're fully valued. Whereas our exponential returns come on, if we get a hit on the ground, you're going to see an exponential return. And then those operating mines will probably come and buy us out.
That was kind of my next question is like, you don't have to be in it for the long haul in terms of getting everything out of the ground, because there are, like you said, mining companies that are your neighbors that are already doing that, right? So is it a possible plan for a smaller company like yours to find the mineral, find out exactly where it is, and then sell potentially the company to a bigger company?
No, and in mining, again, there's a life purpose for each company. And our niche is not putting mines into production. Our niche is finding the right projects with the right geology, putting the right people, putting the capital. It's very early stage, very high risk capital, but the return potential is also very high. So we're not ever going to be a mining company. Our goal is to find a deposit, have a bigger mining company buy us out. And with that, that's a 2 to 3 year program that's not involving permitting, mining. Our main purpose in life is to make a discovery and then sell that discovery to somebody else to put into production.
So let me just ask you, you're basically talking about being sort of surrounded by your competitors to a certain extent. You have some regions that you have mining rights to, but then your competitors have mining rights sort of all around you. Is that the bad thing that I think a lot of people will kind of take it as, where they go like, oh no, I wish that you had a whole region, or I wish that you had had the only region with the lithium and everybody else doesn't have any lithium. Is it really as bad as it sounds, or are there some advantages that you don't really think about until you're actually in it?
No, going back to when I said our purpose in life is to make discoveries. But we're located in such a manner that if we make a discovery, we've got natural partners. On our AC/DC project, the adjoining project is owned by Rio Tinto. So if we make a discovery and they make a discovery, it's a natural takeout target for them. And they're like a multi-billion-dollar international mining company. We're also located next to Patriot Battery's Corvette discovery. So a lot of the discoveries, like in our purpose in life, is to make a discovery and then bigger mining companies consolidate discoveries into one project and provide the billions that are needed to put it into production. So we are located in the right area next to people that if we make a discovery, we're a natural takeout target for them.
I see. So they're not like your competitors. They're more like your future clients.
Yeah. I mean, it's actually comforting as an investor to know that if there's a great discovery here, that a big company like Rio Tinto that does this all the time and does it well, you can, trust that they're going to be able to know what to do with it because they're already there.
Yeah. And the discoveries are part of the mineral exploration, but for the bigger companies, they look for discoveries to acquire. And us being in the right area next to the right people. I mean, Rio Tinto's just entered the lithium exploration. They acquired their property after us, and they're looking for lithium assets. So if we make a discovery, there's no doubt that Rio Tinto would be very interested in us.
Now, there's another property that I saw that you just sent out a press release about in February, Cominco, way north. Can you tell me that's uranium, right?
Yes, so being an energy metals company, we acquired a uranium asset. Uranium prices have skyrocketed recently, and our Cominco property was explored in the mid-'70s by Cominco Mining, which is a big mining company, as well as Noranda Exploration. They're also a big mining company. In the mid-'70s, they had excellent results on the ground, but then the price of uranium dropped and they walked away from the property. So the property sat there since the '70s, and we've acquired the rights to it. And we plan to go there with modern exploration techniques. And I believe that has potential. Again, like I say, using the word district scale, it has the potential to be district scale uranium area. And the early results speak to that.
How do you know this stuff? Because I feel like to a lot of people, it's just like, how did you know that they did this? And how did you know to acquire it?
Well, in exploration, every time there's an exploration project, the governments have a database that they sort the data on. So what we do is when we're looking for a commodity, we hire the geological consultants who can source that data, map it out for us, tell us what the opinion is on the potential of it. And if that report speaks well to the potential, then we go acquire the rights. We're different from a lot of companies who buy rights from other companies or from guys like us. We acquire our own projects. So in terms of Hertz Lithium, we acquired the projects for very low cost. Our structure on our deal is very tight. We haven't, spread the stock out to a lot of people. It's backed by very strong people, like I spoke of. So our structure is very tight. We've got some large projects that we were able to acquire ourselves based on geological opinions and reports that said, hey, these are prospective.
Now, for the investor who might want to stick around a while and hold on beyond just kind of excitement about exploration, what's kind of the longer term game plan? I know that you were saying that you were going to sell some of the projects. How does that look to an investor? Are they suddenly going to own stock in Rio Tinto, or are they going to continue to own Hertz Lithium, but it's, Hertz Lithium is going to, or Hertz Energy rather, is going to, have gone up in value significantly?
I think, for regulators, I'd say if we make a discovery and we get taken out, usually if a bigger company like Rio Tinto, they'll pay cash to shareholders, or they'll offer the shareholders an opportunity to convert their stock into Rio Tinto stock. So those are options. But in addition, if Rio Tinto acquires one project, we can spin the other projects out where shareholders will get shares in a new company for no cost. They'll basically will be left with the other assets in a new company that we can keep going forward with.
So Cal, again, for people who might be interested in investing and they want to go check this out on their brokerage apps, so you're listed on Frankfurt Exchange, and that is...
The symbol on Frankfurt is QE2.
QE2, okay. You're on the Quebec Exchange as HZ?
Yeah, Canadian Securities Exchange as HZ, and we're also in the U.S. Under the symbol HZLIF.
Cal, I would love to have you join us on our Patreon Investor Club. We have a live stream every month or so where we have CEOs and founders like you come on and kind of answer questions directly from investors, because I feel like, we asked a lot of good questions today and you gave a lot of great answers, but investors have tons more questions and, things that maybe we didn't think of. So if you join us, that'd be great.
No, I'd love to join. And, speaking for myself, I think lithium is a commodity of our generation, and I love to provide any information that I can to investors. I always say the biggest investment returns in our history have been made when new words are created. When we had the internet bubble, we had Yahoo, we had Google. Anybody that invested in those two words made millions. And since then, we've got Uber, we've got Lyft, and all of these. And now we've got a new commodity that's a commodity of our generation, and we're creating new words. Up until now, a lot of people never heard of what pegmatite is. Nobody heard the word spodumene. But now if you mention it in the mining circle, everybody knows those two words. So I think as we create new words, we create a new investment opportunity for our generation. And I think lithium is an investment opportunity of our generation. And I'd love to be involved in how I can share some of the information that we have in the lithium exploration field with investors.
That's awesome. Cal, thank you so much for joining us today. Can't wait to talk to you some more.
No, thank you for having me.
And just a disclaimer here, Jesse and I are not financial advisors. Do your own research. Investing involves risk.